How are you now? It's James Whelan, and you are listening to and watching the Theory of Thing Investment podcast, brought to you by. It's not really brought to you by Wellnex or Wakey Wakey, but that's what so I just happen to have it right here on the desk. This is the Theory of Thing Investment podcast. My name is James Whelan, managing director of Barclay Pearce Capital's wealth management team. I'm joined here by Heath Moss of HLM Investment. Heath, how are you now?
Very well, thanks, mate. Very well. Very quiet week over here in Adelaide. Not much happening. No lost teeth this week. No lost teeth. So.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second with the inflationary gauge of tooth fairies. Absolutely. Joining us as well, we're going to get this. Let's open with the absolute cracking. We've got one of the absolute. I'm wearing the Tigers. I'm showing my stripes today. As you know, I've had to inherit the Tigers this year as my team, and because the North Sydney Bears still won't be let into the comp with no date on that, and we'll talk about that at a later date. I'm joined here by one of the absolute legends of the game, legends of the Tigers, Chris Lawrence, centre for the West Tigers through from 2006 all the way through until I think it was about 2015 or something. Chris, thanks for joining us, mate. How are you going?
Thank you. 2020, yeah. Probably should have retired at 2015, but I squeezed out a few extra years. But thanks for having me, guys.
Mate, no worries at all. Now, we're going to go into it. The reason you're here is I needed someone who knows a thing or two about football. As you know, I'm still learning some of the players' names, and surprised that the guy's name isn't actually plays for New Zealand. It's not actually two of us on MasterChef. It's actually two. When I eventually meet him, he's going to know about that, and I think I'm going to come off second best in that conversation. But he's a legend. The Wires have done well. Matt, what's been the highlights of the last few weeks of the league, mate?
Yeah, definitely for having the Tigers win a few games, especially. Last week, Tigers put some points on the Raiders. It's been quite a number of years since we've seen that the Tigers put so many points on and actually really dominate a game. The Raiders got a few tries back in the game when they had 12 men, but yeah, just dominated. And it was really exciting to see. I think one of the youngest ever teams they've had playing, and some of the kids to come through. A lot of them West juniors and playing out at Campbelltown, some making their debut. To put on a performance like that. Really showed that the future is bright. Now it's a challenge to maintain it and retain all these young players and then develop them. So hopefully, in 2 or 3 years' time, we've got a squad like Penrith when they came through, and you got your Isaiah Yo's, Cleary's, Luai's, those guys who came through, played juniors together, and are now obviously stuck together. So we've got the opportunity at the Tigers now, and now it's a matter of trying to execute on it.
I think that maybe one of my highlights was last week, somehow Parramatta going to last place, even though they had the bye. How do you get beaten by the bye? Only Parramatta can figure that out this year. Mate, anything that's non-Tigers related? I mean, I want to talk about the Origin really quick. Your take this week?
On the Origin?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think it was so good to see. Yeah, you always knew New South Wales were going to bounce back. I think they were desperate, obviously being, for them needing to get a win to keep the series alive. But the fact they've lost the last 2 series, I really think there would have been a lot of players there. I don't think probably would have played again if they had lost, and they would have made even more changes next year. And I know Queensland pride themselves on, competing on every play and doing all these things, but it's human psychology when that you've got a backup, when it's not the last chance, and you don't lose the series if you lose a game. And they got their back pocket of going up to Suncorp Stadium, which is always really hard to do. You always knew that the window was going to be open for New South Wales, but yeah, they really blew them off the park early, and never gave them a chance.
It was just dominant. They turned it on and kept it on. It was sensational. I was ecstatic to watch it. Talking now, we can go a little bit seriously. I think that when you and I caught up a couple of weeks ago, I did sort of mention offhand, a little bit joking at the time, that New South Wales would be wise or smart or a tactic to go out in the media, get on the front page of the Telegraph and just say, "Hey, Reece Walsh, we're gonna do it again." And that was a bit of a joke at the time, but I think that New South Wales actually really did rattle him. Is he now? What's going on in his head, Reece Walsh? Because now I think he may actually be dealing with some serious stuff now with regards to getting hit.
Yeah, look, I think he's always going to get targeted, like as a fullback and someone who is a bit smaller and he's so quick. You've got to get on. You've got to target him and limit their time with the ball. So whenever a ball goes up and he's catching the ball, if you aren't there to put pressure on him, and he's going to make you pay. You know, he's got the footwork, he's got the speed to get past you, and he's one of their best players. You try to really nullify the best players in any team. So it would be no surprise. I mean, the club in Clubland, they're targeting him as well. Obviously, in game one, they tried to obviously be aggressive with him, and there's that fine line between, if you're trying to be aggressive, in the split second of things happen, and you can miss your target by, a couple of inches and make contact with the head, which is obviously what happened. But I don't think the philosophy is going to change. You're still going to put pressure on him, because if you sit back on someone like, a Reece Walsh and let them dictate to you, they're going to carve you up. So you have to, number one, limit their time, but, and put pressure on them, not let them dictate to you. You dictate to them with how you want them to get the ball, and how much pressure you can put on them.
Well, that's good. Good to have the insight from a former player, someone who knows the game quite well too. So, I hope he goes through it, because I think if I was another club lining up against him just for a regular club game, I think that you found a bit of a weakness in him. Not that you should be exploiting that sort of thing, but it's a competition and it's a game, that you're there to win. Announcing the winner for the recent round 4 weeks of Tipping Comp for the Barclay Pierce Capital Tipping Comp that we've got out there for clients and non-clients. Again, congratulations to Houstonian, who managed to get a perfect round last week. I was one game away from getting a perfect round, actually blown up by the Tigers because I tipped Canberra. I was thinking that was the easiest one of the week. Don't tell Robbie.
Take that jumper off, mate. You cannot say you've tipped against them and you're wearing a Tigers jumper.
Right, it's a ruthless game out there. Hey, it's look, it's it was the happiest non-perfect round I think I've ever had watching him do it. I think I've thrown away the win for the tipping comp, but happy to see the Tigers get it done. But look, so congratulations, Houstonian. We'll get a pack out to you. It's I think it's a couple of $100 that we have for that one, which is good. So thank you for participating. And as we go into the home stretch of the tipping comp, we'll have the last round winners coming up as well. Now, Chris, mate, no such thing as a free lunch. Thanks for coming on. What are you working on at the moment?
So now that I'm not running into brick walls every week and playing footy, it's been sort of a few years out now. So running my education company, One Training. So have work in education essentially. Started working with athletes whilst I was playing, built the company up whilst I was playing. Then once I did leave, I got the opportunity to work with a number of different cohorts. So we help people through successful education outcomes into better careers. So whether that's through full qualifications, whether it's in the fitness industry, or all the way down to helping disadvantaged job seekers upskill, improve their job readiness, their digital literacy, and then into work. We work with really specific groups to help meet their needs and into better careers and better educational outcomes. So it's been really busy at the moment. We've just kicked off 2 new sort of government contracts. We've got one federal government contract for a Skills for Life program. So we're working very closely with First Nations job seekers across 6 employment regions, again, helping them with their job readiness skills, their digital literacy, and trying to connect them with local employment opportunities, as well as a state government contract we've just been given to help all gym and health and fitness facility providers upskill their current staff, so we can help all their staff who don't have either Cert 3 and Cert 4 qualifications in fitness can get a fully funded qualification as part of their employment. So it's been a couple of new programs we've got up and running, get some really good feedback, and helping people into work, which is the main thing. Keep me busy on the side. A lot more sitting at a desk now. So everyone asks how's the body going. It's the hips and back a bit sore these days because there's less movement, more sitting.
Now, worthy, worthwhile work, mate. So thanks for tuning in. You got any tips for the weekend?
Yeah, well, I think again, I'm going to stick with the Tigers. Everyone's going to say I'm crazy, but I'm going to stick with the Tigers to beat the Roosters on Sunday night, last game of the weekend. We don't have a great record against the Roosters. However, we still got a lot of young players, which even with some senior players coming back, we're still named, and it's really good to see. These young players have no fear. They don't hold any of the past scars of playing the Roosters and having a poor record. So it's always a good mix when you have some young kids who have no fear and don't really care and don't have any, again, of that apprehension about coming up against a side. And I think they've got a lot of confidence. So I definitely think that they're a good shot on Sunday night.
Mate, that's a red hot tip on that one. I might back you financially with that one. Mate, taken with I think they've got about 80 points start. I'm just kidding, obviously, but he's playing like a man possessed, and it's beautiful to watch. Chris, mate, unless you want to hang around and talk about markets, I'll let you go.
Yeah, probably should learn a thing or two, but I'm going to get back on phone calls, get people in the
mate, get up. Well done, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, bye.
There is Chris Lawrence, Tigers legend, helping us out with a few things there. And great guy. Really good, genuine spirit. Good all round good guy. All right, now Heath, mate, without any more ado. So no teeth this week. No teeth?
No teeth. No, but he does warn me there is another wobbly one on the way. So he's gonna actually. He said 3. He actually said 3 teeth are wobbly at the moment. Which
my
he's going to cash
one
in.
after another.
He's sitting there probably with a hammer, just slightly knocking them in. He's seen an opportunity. And he's going to cash in. So but no. So I dare say another one will be dropping in the next few days. So
okay. But mate, you want to launch into the market wrap? What do you got for us?
You might as well. You push the buttons. I'll get it going.
I've pushed it, mate.
Showing, wrong thing.
No, you had it up.
Wrong.
You had it up the first time.
Anyway,
it was fine. It was fine. Well, I wouldn't mind talking about Chinese refined copper because that's absolutely pushing the price down, as we can see as well. I did Ausbiz yesterday, on there with Nadine Blaney, who is looking sensational.
Yep.
What was I talking about? I talked about a lot of things. So we had the Global X conference this week with Scott Helfstein, who's head of investment strategy for Global X, and g'day to Global X as well for everything that they've done. It's he really tells an amazing story and paints an incredible picture about calming, and it's what I like to do as well. I did say that if there was going to be something that I'm going to be known for in this industry and doing all the media and everything I've done, is that getting people to just stay calm, stay invested, don't panic and don't react and don't rush, because that's actually the most difficult thing to do. All this time in the industry, I think that now you can just calmly and patiently say, you know what, if you want to pull back a little bit, decrease your allocation because it's a bit toppy and you want to be that sort of guy, go ahead and be that guy. You want to add a little bit more in when it's been sold off, go ahead and do that. But for the most part, stay invested. And Scott tells an absolutely incredible story with regards to the valuations are nowhere near where they were in 2001 for with the tech bubble, and the necessity and the requirements, how the Magnificent Seven have justified those earnings, how the Magnificent Seven are now sort of dominating that space because they can monopoly, or they're monopolies and duopolies or various market share. And the best thing is obviously the margin increase and the margin expansion of those companies can make is phenomenal. It does give them a buffer for any shocks. And I mean, I hate to be the guy who say it, but I mean, what if your Magnificent Seven? This is a Jim Cramer comment, but your Magnificent Seven is I've got to say, I can't even spit it out. What if one of your Magnificent Seven is more like the utilities now?
They are. Yeah.
So is that too controversial to say?
No, not at all. I mean, Google search engine, phones, Android phones, etc. They're all utilities. Microsoft Cloud, and it's all utility. I mean, the human race has evolved and moved on, and it's no longer just power lines and pipes and stuff like that are utilities. It's the internet and everything that goes around with that has become integral to society that we can't live without now. Imagine if cloud went away and we had to start up our own servers in our own bloody offices again, and gear like that. We'd be a mess.
I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't allow it. It's a risk. It's a business risk having your stuff on site, as we found out.
I was listening. I was listening to
September 11.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to a podcast during the week, and they were talking about the very same thing, comparing it to the .com bubble. And so the difference, because obviously a lot of people compare like NVIDIA and Apple and that to Cisco back then, who were the sort of poster child back then. And they're saying, Cisco, their clients were all these startup companies that really had no cash flows. Were relying on raisings to keep themselves alive.
They weren't making anything.
And so when things went belly up and they all went bust, Cisco had no one left to sell to. Whereas this time around, like Nvidia and all that, they've got Microsoft, Apple, Google. They do have startups and that buying off them as well, but it's a very small percentage of their sales. And these companies are mammoth with huge cash flows, mammoth cash piles. They're not going anywhere soon, and are sort of driving this revolution themselves. So yeah, good. Yeah, you got the chart up. So I'll be quick with the US this week because
yeah,
the US this week really not much in there. Was up about 0.3% on the SPX, which we have on the screen at the moment. Let me have a look at my cheat sheet. What do we got in terms of macro data? Really for the US, core PCE is out tonight, so that's the important one. Expected 0.2% rise, so we will watch and see how that goes. Durable goods, new home sales, pending home sales were all softer during the week. Continuing jobless claims were actually higher than expected. So you got that again. We harp on about it the last few weeks, but you got that trend of a slowing economy in the US, softer US data, and not going to recession or anything too concerning about that. Jobs data is still maintaining its strength, but other data around it, like I just said, plus retail sales and all that gear, is definitely softening. So the bias is still for a cut from the Fed in September. I think it is. I think it's about a 70% chance, 60-70% chance. But so that's the SPX. Nasdaq very similar, up 0.4%. Really didn't do much. Yields sort of flat. We're up about 3 or 4 basis points in the US over the week. US, that's the US 10 years I've got up there at 4.29% at the moment. The big one is the US dollar, which is gaining some strength there. Now that's more on the back not of the strength of the US dollar, but the weakness in the euro and the yen. We saw the yen come down, hit its lowest level since 1986, I think, which was 160. So it breached that, and the euro continues to soften as the European economy has slid back down as well. I'll get into the Australian market because that's where all the action was this week. Now, of course, the Australian market's down about 0.4% this week, which really isn't nothing. But if we zoom in, we can see yesterday that massive candle, that massive sell down there, and the buyers have come straight back in, roaring back in. Let's see if I can I get I don't know. I can't get a 1 minute. I'd like a 5-minute or something chart, but I don't think I can.
A 5-minute chart of the XJO.
Yeah, because what we saw was the XJO yesterday down about 1.5% close to the open, and then the buyers just came in all day, and we ended up down about 0.3%. And you can see the green candle there. We're up a little bit today, so that's a really, really positive and bullish move, all things considered. And that was on the back of CPI data that came out on Wednesday. That was a lot hotter than expected. Headline came in at 4% when it was expected at 3.8%. Trim mean came in at 4.4% when that was expected at 4.1. So, markets started concerning themselves, about definitely counting any cuts out this year. And B, there was a couple of houses, I think, research and analysts, Citi and Morgans, I think, maybe, came out and said we'd expect a hike in August. So that scared the market a little bit, and that's why we got the sell-offs on those 2 days. But it found buyers to say, which is extremely bullish.
Well, I mean, markets have found a way to rally all the way through the rate hike cycle that we have had. They've found a way to continue rallying through the hold period. I mean, why wouldn't they continue to get bought with maybe another hike?
Well,
I don't know.
I know. I mean, the market.
I can't deal with it.
All the hawks over social media yesterday were fist pumping and saying we're getting that hike. We've told you we need more hikes. But then Hauser, I think it's Hauser, Hauser from the RBA, came out last night at a event he was at and basically said there's a whole heap of data coming in between now and the next meeting, and it would be a bad mistake for them to act on just one set of data. So that was reassuring for the market to hear, and I think it's why it rallied a little bit yesterday. A bit of common sense came in. And while we're up a little bit today as well, is, it was almost as if a hike was a foregone conclusion on Wednesday evening for August, but now that's been hosed down a bit. I think they're hold and there is no hikes. Yeah, maybe cuts are pushed out again into Q1 25, but that's where all the action was this week on the Australian market. And of course, we're heading into earnings soon too, and they start in start of August. So August is going to be a pretty big month. We got earnings and we got a live RBA meeting according to the market. So
will be very live.
that was the XJO this
25.
week.
25 breaks me. 25 absolutely breaks me, and breaks.
It will break a lot of people
as well.
It will, and I think it definitely sends us into a recession. I think the RBA knows that. I think the RBA can't say exactly what they want to say, like most central banks, because as soon as they come out with a more softer, dovish tone and recognise the real softness in the economy, the market starts winding back those yields and taking away all the work they've done. Whereas if they maintain hawkish, like the yields, I'll bring up the Australian yields actually. We can see, where are we? That's the US yields. AU, was it 10 year? The Australian 10-year yields. There we go. So you can see there on Wednesday, the massive spike in yields we had. It went from, where are we, a low of 4.2% and it closed at 4.4%. So up 20 basis points in one day. And we've pared back a little bit now. That's the Australian 10-year. But it's basically done the job for the RBA for them. I mean, they don't need to hike if the real market and real yields out in the real world are doing it for them. So so that's the Australian 10-year right there. So it was a pretty big week in terms of Australia and the XJO. So compared to what's happening in the US. So there's that. If we want to, I'll quickly move on to copper. Copper continues to drift down. I have to get that picture back up. Give me 2 seconds. I will get that back up. It's basically the picture is from Robert Rennie, our mate Robert Rennie at, where is he? Westpac.
Yep. Head of commodity strategy at Westpac.
I'll get the picture back up.
And he's something else too. It's commodities and something, and I can't remember what the other thing is that he's got tacked on as well. You just had you had it.
There we go. Yeah. There, is that up? Beautiful.
Yep.
So as you can see there,
copper exports.
Yeah, China are dumping copper exports into the export market. Dumping copper into the export markets now, well above the average there. You can see the 5-year average is there for the start of the year, and that black line is the where they are at now. So they're dumping those inventories. I actually don't have an inventory thing there. Is that inventory? No, that's production. So you can see Chinese refined.
I could tell you Rob already would have had it.
Is up as well.
I get it.
So that explains the softness in copper that we've seen and why it continues to trend down and sort of break below that trend there. You can see $4.25 a pound coming. It's on the LME charts. It really is struggling to break that 11,000 at the moment. I think it hits its head against that a few times. Eventually, it will, and it will fly through it, as we all know the story with copper. But that's about it for copper. And then gold is flat, really hasn't done anything. Oil starting to creep up. That's a really bullish chart for oil. That's WTI, and we're at just below 82 at the moment. And we've had a consolidation period there for about a week or so, and it looks like it's going to go higher. We've got the US driving season and whatnot happening at the moment, so that could be putting pressure on it. And this is despite large inventory builds that came out on Wednesday night. I think 3 million barrels of oil were added to inventories when they expected a 3 million barrel drawdown. So it's reacted well in the face of some negative data there. So that's basically it, mate. I think that's it.
Oh, not bad at all. Well done. I don't really have anything on top of that apart from just talking about some of the big thematic things is my go to now. The presidential debate is on, I think, right now as we're recording at 10:57.
Yep.
Friday the 20th. So let's get the footy tips on, and then we can go to watch two octogenarians, or whatever they are.
Actually, we actually forgot one of the big things that happened end of last week, start of this week, and we survived the mega Nvidia crash. It crashed 15% from high to low there, and it's bounced back beautifully now. But
took it back to genuine last week levels.
$123
You
a
remember
share,
those?
which is equivalent of what 12.30 in the before the split. So
filling those gaps
yeah,
back up.
yeah. So still
Mate,
looking strong. And SpaceX
Yep.
gave itself a $210 billion valuation on a
good.
inside share sales this week as well. So I
Okay.
can dare say that will eventually IPO. Whether it's probably not this year, but in 2025, I reckon that comes online. So yeah,
Okay.
beautiful. All right, I'm done.
Footy.
Footy.
Okay.
What did I do last week? I picked the Lions to beat Port Adelaide, and did they ever? They gave them absolute smacking. And
sensational week. Anytime Port Adelaide gets thrashed, it's a good week, and it has been just absolutely cracking.
We had supporters leaving at half time. You know, their motto is never tear us apart, and they were booing the coach and leaving the ground. It was schmozzle. So so that I was a little bit
touch-ups in a row
conservative.
for them. Yeah.
I was very conservative there, but my pick this week is Hawthorn play the Eagles over in the West on Sunday night. The line is 11.5. I reckon they beat that and they win by more than 11.5 points. Hawthorn are in fine touch, fantastic midfield, etc. So I think they touch up the Eagles a little bit more than that. So that's kind of about $1.90.
Yeah, well, I got a couple of okay, so that's you. That's Hawks to beat the spread over against the Weagles. All right, in the football, what have I got here? St George is playing the Dolphins. First off, don't forget Chris Lawrence's pick. He's going to the Tigers outright. Bet with your head, not over it. I think
Roosters,
he's just
isn't
talking
it?
about tipping, not betting. Yeah, they're playing the Roosters.
Mm-hmm.
There's a special here. I've got some interesting ones. I reckon Newcastle are a special against Parramatta, and they're paying $1.87 straight up. I think I'm going to take that. I'll take Newcastle. And just to make it a bit more interesting, I'll also take St George Illawarra to beat the Dolphins with the start. So that's St George Illawarra plus 1.5 into, what was the other thing that I said? Newcastle to beat Parramatta. Take those both together. Should be about 380 of those two things together. Bet with your head, not over it. This is not a gambling podcast. This is just two guys talking trash. Heath, mate, on that note, let's go. Let's get in and watch this debate. See what's going on.
Exactly. Bit of entertainment coming up.
I've still got Trump as almost certainly that he's going to win. I think Nate Silver came out a couple of days ago, and he's got about a 67% chance that Trump's got it. And he's one of the better tipsters out there, and he's not biased to Trump. So that's pretty bold, and I happen to agree very much as well. Anything else going on?
No, that's it, mate. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm out.
Well, on that note, have yourself a good one. I hope Port gets beaten again. Are they playing?
Yeah, they're playing. They're playing St Kilda over in Melbourne. So yeah, they could actually win that one.
Yeah, I think that's know what, Saints could definitely take that. I reckon Adelaide at home too. Keep your eye on that.
Yeah, we're not favourite.
Adelaide at home,
and $2, I think.
I was surprised. I was surprised that they weren't favourites for that game. I think Adelaide at home is going to be a special. I hope the Crows go okay. And just playing for pride now, which is always the best way. And they are a very proud team as well. You should be proud of those boys out there and what they do week after week. Meanwhile, my Swans, it looks like I'm going to see the Swans late in September.
Just give them the cup now, hey? Just give them the cup.
How good is one hand on the trophy? I'll tell you what, I've got people now starting to plan what we're going to do for grand final day, and that's scary.
That's dangerous.
I've sent calendars out because now, I mean, I'm not doing skipping this year. I'm not doing the jump rope thing this year. So there's no national championships. National championships are always on grand final weekend, so I don't have to go to Canberra for go to the AIS for grand final day. I was in Darwin. Was it Darwin last year or the year before when the Swans were playing? I was up. Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. I was up in Darwin for the grand final day, walking around wearing my Swans jersey. They got thrashed. Anyway, so yeah, people starting to plan people started to plan what they're going to do for grand final. I've sent out calendars. I'm going to have some people around at my place. But it's a bit early to start booking dates. I think, or maybe I should be the one who's calming that down. Okay, mate. Thank you very much. You've been joining us on the Theory of Thing Investment podcast. My name is James Whelan, Managing Director of the BPC Wealth Management team, joined by Heath Moss of HLM Investments. Heath, thanks very much.
Thanks, mate, and everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.